Welcome back to the Goalie Corner presented by One Stop Goaltending. I'm Coach Mike. Today we got Kevin Linker back in the hot seat talking all about leg pads. We're just like the gloves, just like the blockers, we're going to go company by company. Just came to my attention that we didn't talk about Warrior blockers last episode, but maybe we'll throw them in here. Might actually be good for the end result here for us. But Kevin, thanks again for taking your time out of your busy day and chatting with us, talking goalies.
No worries. Always more than happy to hop on here.
Absolutely. Why don't you kick us off with talking about Bryans, right? We're always starting with Bryans just because they get overlooked. I think they're a good quality pad, but they just kind of get overlooked because the market isn't there for them.
It's so weird, like, even just thinking about it right now, like that intermediate product that they put out, that's like their mid-level product, like low key so good. And just like feels like it doesn't get a ton of attention just because it has a little bit of a higher sale sticker on it than something that you might get from Bauer. So a common theme that we're gonna go through here with all brands is going to be soft pad, stiff pad. So starting with Brian's Iconic X or Iconic, that's the previous genetic pad.
Okay.
So that's going to be their softer pad, a little bit more of that traditional S-shaped flex to it. So pucks are going to sit a little bit tighter to you off the rebound. Obviously not as juicy. Stiffness wise, designed to allow you to kind of close that five hole a little bit easier. So in saying that, you're going to get that single external break within that genetic pad or that iconic pad now. That's going to make it easier to close the five hole for any of those goalies that might not have the most flexible hips at this point and need that little bit of help. That's a good way to go. Optic on the other hand, so you've got Optic 3 as their pro. And then you've got Optic X9, I want to say it is, as the mid-level. Stiffer pad, obviously. They've actually done a pretty good job of pre-curving it a little bit so that it's not like a straight board. It's not like you're strapping a 2x4 to your femur. Thankfully, we'll
Yeah.
get into that later. But yeah, a little bit stiffer. They've got their, I want to say it's their Max Core. Should know this. I shot a promo video for our store a year ago when it launched. Honestly, like one of the lighter pads Brian's has produced in the last little bit, which is good. Stiff, short boot. Major thing I want to talk about with Brian's is Opti Slide.
Opti slide.
So that's their material. And I'll reference it a few different ways because everyone's kind of got their own name for it. Um, it's essentially like a weave type material. Um, that's going to allow for that. It's less frictiony.
Okay.
That's the best word I've got for it, frictiony.
Is that your professional opinion?
Yeah, English is a tough language, man.
Couple things that I just want to educate if people already don't know. So you said single external break, right? In the Iconics. So pads can come up to three different break points, right? First break being the ankle break, the boot break. That's kind of a non-negotiable. You need it.
Yeah, you're gonna have a pretty interesting looking pad if you get one without an ankle break.
Exactly. It would be a 2x4 strapped to your femur, right? And then the most popular one would be an under the knee break. Some pads you'll hear Kevin talking about have an internal break, some have an external break. Really, that has to do with flex, right? If it's internal, there's a little bit more resistance of the pad flexing down. If it's external, it's a little bit more bouncy, right? Like the Iconic. And then the one that's been phased out almost completely is the above knee break, right? So that's an older pad. If you watch a goalie from like early 2000s, let's just use Kiprusoff again. We used him for the glove. Kiprusoff had three breaks. So he had the under the knee, above the knee, and the ankle break, right? So he had maximum flexibility of his pads, which breaks down the pads very quickly when you're getting five hole shots, right? And that's kind of why he got phased out, I think, is the thigh rise was turned into just a floppy mess after half a season or a season based on how much ice you see.
So I can't remember the last, actually, no. I had a goalie partner. I'll give him a quick shout out here. Bryce Valkarius. He's playing at Norwich University now down in the States. But played junior with him 4 years ago. Still ripping that double break pad.
Good for him.
Oh, 5-hole coverage was immaculate. Still got scored on, but
Yeah. It's
yeah,
kind of a non-negotiable. You're going to get scored on, but it's going to just feel more comfortable.
exactly. So, but pretty much all we see at this point is um single external, and then obviously that one at the ankle is non-negotiable. But nothing at the retail level anymore that's coming stock double break.
Yeah. It's been phased out for I would say a good reason, right?
Yes.
It just makes a better pad. Going back to the optic slide, the weave material, is that like a leather material or is it more like a nylon? Do we need to worry about skate blades ripping into that by accident?
You got to worry about skate blades ripping into anything.
That's
But
fair.
I mean, in terms of durability, I haven't seen any issues with it. So we'll break it down really quick here. Bauer's the only one that doesn't offer a different sliding surface on their pad. They've got Cortec on their pro level pads, both Shadow and Hyperlite 2 now. But
Okay.
otherwise, just so if I reference it, Brian's Opti Slide, Vaughn has Quick Slide, pretty much the exact same product there. CCM has, they call it a weave material, very tightly woven version of that Opti Slide or Quick Slide. And
Didn't they
then
used to have like speed slide or something like that?
oh, Speed Skin, yeah, it's still stock on everything. It's still terrible.
Gotcha.
And then True has, they call it
Carbon,
Carbone.
carbone.
It's like Carbone. Um, but yeah, essentially purpose of that, same idea. Weave less friction on the ice, gonna allow the pad to slide better. Because True and CCR are in the same boat here, where they have like a speed skin type material. Essentially, once that ice gets chewed up, it feels like sandpaper.
Right. Now, the weave material, I remember, again, referencing my age, going back to V3s when I first bought them, I was recommended getting the weave on the internals of the legs because it reduced friction, making it easier to slide, right? At
Yeah.
that time, it was just still leather, right? But for some reason, it created less friction. So I think an easy way, like if your goalie's struggling sliding and you're looking for pads, one of these alternatives will most likely help you um, get across the net in a slide. But the true thing that's going to help you the most is building your leg strength up, right? Like that's you can never get away from that, and you can never be too quick, essentially, right? But it's a nice like crutch or an addition to help you, especially if you're starting out.
Yeah. No, if you've got like let's talk if we've got already a CCM pad or a true pad, you're not happy with how it slides. Aftermarket products such as
I've heard about that. That's been around.
Pad Butter or PPF 3M film. Far off on the name there. It's like a vinyl. You just stick it over. It's supposed to help the pad slide a little bit better too.
Right. Going from Brian, so they got a stiff, they got a soft. They're all handmade, I think you said, or at least just their gloves are, right? They kind of still want quality over quantity. Does that sound
Yes.
right?
Yeah, so all true pro stuff is made just down the road in Windsor. All their
True or Brian's?
or sorry, yeah, Brian's.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, that was definitely not a true fact. Oof. Uh, but
Good.
yeah, Brian's everything pro level is made in Canada here. Offshore, it's Vietnam or Thailand, one of the two.
Okay. And we'll get into an entry level pad and maybe like an intermediate level pad at the end or closer to the end.
Yeah.
And we're going to kind of focus just a little bit more on the mainstream. So U18 rep-ish players, let's say, or goalies. So let's move on to Vaughn. They got the SLR4 and the V10. Is the quick slide available on both or just one?
Both. Yeah,
Oh,
both. I believe any stock product at this point is coming with quick slide. on the interior, and that goes from junior all the way up to
Really?
senior. So
Gotcha. Okay. And then I'm gonna take a guess here. I'm gonna say the SLR is their thick or their stiff pad. And do they have an external brake or an internal brake?
just internal, I believe. If I'm thinking, I haven't seen any of the offshore stuff, but all of like the pro level stuff that we've gotten in store here has all been just just internal.
Okay.
So no brake external, single brake internal. It's actually, I'm actually like, I'll give them props again. Been a pretty good year for them. I got the chance to demo a set of SLR4s that our rep had probably 2 months ago. And the last Vaughn pad I had worn was a V6. We're going back, like I was
I
playing,
did
yeah.
I have those? Maybe I had those. I can't remember.
But anyways, it was meh on them. I've always thought it's been a little bit of a heavier product. And like that carbon insert is taking away some of the weight. Rebounds are popping off of them. Like I was really impressed.
That's good to know. I did have something for you. I find Vaughn was pretty late to the game when it came to the strapping, right?
Yes.
With all Velcro. Because
Yeah.
they tried to do the magnetic clip and it just did not work out well for them, right? So on their leg channels, which probably should be a topic as well, different leg channels. What do they got now? I don't see very many V10s or SLRs out west here. Are they
Uh,
tight leg channel, loose leg channel?
SLR4 pretty tight. The nice thing is all their straps are adjustable at this point. So you've
Okay.
got two-sided Velcro on the anchor points, and you can kind of play with it and get that desired fit that you want.
Okay. But that
Yeah,
doesn't change the leg channel width, right? Every like Vaughn, I feel like was made to suction cup your leg and be one with your body.
yeah.
Okay. Would that affect the dropping into a butterfly at all?
Hypothetically speaking, yeah. New for this year though with SLR4 and I think V10 too. They introduced their balance stabilizer,
Does
and
that
we'll
mean they're
talk.
going to like that one piece knee block?
Absolutely, it does.
I was gonna ask
Honestly,
about that.
game changer for pads.
So what the heck is that all about? One piece.
So essentially, like if you think about, I wish I had a pad on me. Um, if you think about like you have a pad here, right? So you've got a pad and then you've got the knee block coming into it like this,
Hmm.
right? If they're two separate pieces, when you drop, this knee block has the ability to adjust
Hinge.
and it hinges. You can either, you're gonna either under rotate and end up further on your butt and not sealing your 5 hole if you're playing on your heels, or if you're too far over top and you over rotate,
Fold over.
your pads are going to fold over on themselves, right? So by integrating it and putting it right into the pad, it's essentially creating that balance point where that pad is going to drop. And whether you're on your butt or you're way too far over top, the idea is that pad is going to sit flush, seal the 5 hole, and help you keep your balance.
It almost sounds like they're taking user error out of the equation,
Yeah, 100%.
right? Which I don't think I'm the biggest fan of, but if it helps the game, then I guess I just have to be a
I
bystander and let it happen, right?
I think like, the people I think are going to benefit most from this are like those younger goalies that maybe don't have the proper strength
Yeah. Okay.
to drop into a butterfly like
Yeah.
properly by themselves. This balance stabilizer idea really helps with that.
And that was Bauer that came up with that, wasn't it?
So Bauer came up with it. I know we're going to talk low level, mid level a little bit later.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's like one of the biggest features that they've managed to throw into that low slash entry level pad this year.
Gotcha. And so that might be on the V10 or it is on the V10 as well.
I'm pretty sure it's on the V10. Don't fact check me because I hate being wrong. But
Okay, so we'll throw it up to if you guys are looking for pads, um, take a look at a V10, and if Kevin's wrong, shoot us a text
yeah,
on Instagram or whatever on the post, and
just
just
gonna
let
get
us know. Just let us know.
just flooded with DMs.
I doubt it.
No.
Um, And then their V10 is more of that softer pad again, right?
V10, you've got your single external brake, a little bit softer, pre-curved. They've actually made it a little bit stiffer. Everything's gone stiffer.
Yeah,
Like we're going to talk about it later. True's soft pad.
it's still
Alpha.
sick.
Oh, still stiff. It's like, yeah, you've got your flex point, but
Yeah, like
not.
I used to when I got new pads, I used to shove them underneath the bench in the dressing room to loosen them and bend them and curl them.
Man, who was the NHL goalie? I feel like it was only a year ago that we saw this picture.
No
Like,
idea.
tied his pads together. Like,
Yeah, with the toe ties.
yeah, he took his
Yeah,
skates and wrapped it around and then tied it up at the top just to
yeah.
create that flex.
I almost want to say it was Levi because he's got really bendy pads.
Gonna drive me crazy now.
Anyways, Vaughn used to use shredded padding in their velocities.
No more.
No more?
No.
Okay.
Pads just
So,
broke down too quickly.
yeah. 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 And like inches.
Yeah.
Like I used a 36 plus 2 pad. It was V6 and it shrunk down perfect size to like a 33 in a matter of months.
I think we can both agree like neither of us should ever wear a 36 plus 2 pad, but we're exact same sizing there on V6. And part of that with their pro level pad where you get the pro carbon, that carbon has helped to design shrinkage as well.
Gotcha.
So
Moving on, we got the CCMs, the pad that everybody knows.
yeah.
I think it's safe to say, I think we all know what's their soft and what's their stiff pad. Axis is the stiff, E-flex. Shocking enough, the flex is the soft.
Yeah, I gotta give them to it. They really thought that one out.
Proper naming on that one.
Yeah.
Now, when the Axis first hit the market, it was very evident that that was their Bauer answer to the
Yeah.
stiff pads.
Yeah.
In your opinion, does the Axis actually provide anything more or less than a Bauer would?
And I don't want all your listeners to think I just like I love to rip on CCM because I try not to.
I
No,
rip on everything.
they're not close.
They're not close. Bauer is the better product still.
100%.
So if you saw a kid in an Axis pad, would you expect them to be a blocking style goalie or like a weird hybrid where sometimes they're blocky, sometimes they're athletic?
Probably like blocky. E-flex probably more athletic. Maybe that hybrid style a little bit more.
Right,
But yeah, like Axis normally pretty strong butterfly. It's a pretty stiff pad.
right. Something that just came into my mind here. They used to market boots or like the ankle break. Sometimes you got soft, right? If you were a down low style goalie, you were looking for a soft ankle break right off the hop. That's all changed on me again. It seems like everybody's stiff, but we used to wear pads like lower on our leg.
Yeah.
Now they're sitting pretty high. They're not Mike Comden high,
You've
but
got
they're
you've
sitting
got
on top of your skate, right?
and I mean you've got Mackenzie Blackwood who's wearing his pads.
Up his shin.
The pad starts at his laces on his
Right.
skates.
So does it really matter anymore if you have a soft boot or a stiff boot?
I don't really think so. It might contribute.
Also, how the heck does Mackenzie Blackwood get his pad up that high?
I have no clue. It's got to be a combination of like a boot strap and then
The Lundy strap?
yeah, like the Lundy loop on the back of the skate, but then like just an extreme amount of like slack in his toe tie.
Yes. Maybe a lift kit too. But so I find like the Axis have that softer traditional ankle break, right? So for people with shorter toe ties, that might be a good option or something to look at. So if you're in your low stance or you're in the butterfly, you have that flexibility in the pad to get your foot and push,
Yes, for
right?
sure. E-flex is a little bit of like a, I would say a steeper boot.
It's not
It's
like
like,
a 90 degree.
no, it's more open. It's probably like closer to a 120. Sits a little bit taller up.
Going back quickly, does Brian's have stiff boots or are they 90 degrees?
Like everyone's gonna fall between like 110 and 120.
Okay, so there's not that much difference then. Okay. Oh, another question. E10, E-Flex, and True are the only
Yep.
ones with knee rolls.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
never a believer in that the knee rolls are going to kick the rebounds out somewhere you don't want to. Just be better at rebound placement, personally.
So at this point, like
They're
the
all
knee
pretty
rolls,
flat, aren't they?
it's an aesthetic thing at this point.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Like they're all so flat.
Yeah.
It's just like a little baby hump on your pad.
Right. So everybody's going to the flat surface, so the rebounds are more consistent, essentially. Okay.
Exactly.
Going on to the Bowers, we got
Oh,
Vapor. Oh,
before we go, Bauer, can I talk toe ties for a sec quick?
you can
Or like
definitely talk toe ties.
okay. So because I know there's been like a huge revolution with like bungee and
Yeah.
bungee loop. So like on a stock level, that bungee is designed to sit. If you grab it off the wall, if you go into your local hockey shop, grab it off the wall and put it on your skate, it's gonna fit super tight.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan. I wore it for a couple years in junior, and like now that I've kind of experimented and watched kids like go into RVH and like transition out of it, I think I'm going back to like I like a little bit more slack in that area.
You
That's
like the bungee or you like the skate lace?
skate lace almost because with the skate lace you can at least put like loops or not loops,
Knots.
knots
Yeah.
at the end of it to create that slack. Um yeah, I find it's a lot easier to enter and exit out of RVH. Takes a little bit of the slack off your hips too.
So it's an interesting conversation because a lot of people went to bungee and now are coming back to skate laces. And I love skate laces. It's 100% customizable. The one bungee thing that I do like is you do have the freedom. If you don't know yourself yet, you have the freedom to move your toe around, right?
Yeah.
Easier than a skate lace would. The bungees that I hate are the ones that you need a zap strap for to keep it
Oh,
on
the
your toes.
toe hooks.
Yeah, those are the worst ones. Now I understand like entry level kids that don't know yet, but you don't want the pads to be so snug that you can't move the toes. Because if the toes are
Yeah, you're not.
higher than your knee, then your hip is in pain. But the kids are so
Oh,
young that they don't feel that yet, right?
yeah.
So,
Quick product shout out Pro Laces.
yeah,
Uh, they've got their armor, which is like a stock bungee. It sits a little bit tighter. Love the hybrid product. So it's
isn't
got
that
that
the
little
Trav
1 inch.
for Oiler one?
Trav 4 is like a really long one. I've never seen a Trav 4. I'm not going to share my thoughts on Trav 4 here, but the hybrid Pro Lace has that like 1 inch gap that's
Yeah.
going to give you that little bit of extra slack. I switched to it, I want to say like November this year. Game changer. Love it.
Yeah. If you're U15, U18, RVH is a big part of the game. You need a toe bridge, right? Which means your pad can't be bungeed to your pad or your leg. You need a little bit of give. I was talking to Dylan Grand about it because I was asking him how come he or if he's ever tried the bungee and how come he doesn't use the bungee. And he says when he's pushing off the post in the RVH, you're kind of kicking, 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 waiting for like the elastic to reach its end to actually
Yeah.
get the power. And by that time, it's too much delay, right? So he liked how quick the skate laces, the slack went to not slack, pushed right away, right? The
Yeah.
power
Exactly.
conversion.
So
Awesome.
that's my quick.
All right, let's get into Bowers. We got two lines, Vapor and Supreme. I think they're both probably stiff as stiff can get. So I don't know exactly what the difference, if at all, any. Probably
It's
something to do with the leg channel.
a little bit to do with the leg channel. Vapor's a little bit tighter fitting. Supreme's a little bit looser. Um, Vapor is it's a little softer, not super soft. It's we're
Rebounds
talking.
only go to the blue line, not the far blue line.
What do you mean? I'm trying to score on an empty net with that rebound off that pad.
You do that.
Yeah. It's still stiff with their Cortex skin. it's designed to maximize that rebound efficiency. And that exists on both Supreme and Vapor. So
Right.
Vapor I would categorize as having like a single internal break right
Okay.
below the knee. Supreme, no break.
Just straight pad, no break, and they shape it, don't they?
Yeah, it's a little shaped. It's a little S-shaped, especially like that's the biggest thing I've noticed shadow compared to mock is the shadow is coming in a little bit more curved. Mock was like very straight up and down.
Gotcha. Mock was very straight up and down. It reminded
Very,
me of an anti-Niemi, the TPS pads.
yeah. But in terms of Bauer, like Vapor's a little bit softer. It's still a stiff pad.
Right.
So
And they don't have any of the weave material. This is the pad.
yeah, it's that Cortex skin that I've got on there. It slides, I would say, just as good as anything else on the market.
Honestly,
So
I would say it slides better.
yeah, especially on bad ice.
Yeah, it
So
maintains well.
for sure.
Um, just another little quick, not off topic, but not necessarily Bauer related, leg channels.
Yeah.
The most customized leg channel I was ever able to do was CCM. There was a super tight fit and a loose fit, right? Loose fit, I think, was more like if you watch Marc-Andre Fleury and the pads are just flopping around everywhere.
All over the place.
Yeah, so like that would be like a loose fit, where the tight fit I would say is like a normal Vaughn, and then the
Yeah.
super tight is like
A Bauer
Bones.
Supreme is going to be a good example of that for you.
Supreme would be like a super tight fit.
I would say so. With the way their strapping system set up.
The internal Velcro there.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's again something to look out for when you're buying new pads is what is comfortable and what gives you the best mobility essentially, right? Are you a goalie that likes tight? Are you a goalie that likes loose?
Yeah.
Okay, going on to the last one, true. They got
And
hazardous and catalyst, right?
you're going to forget about Warrior here again.
Yeah.
But yeah, true. Hazardous. I haven't even seen any offshore stuff, but I'm gonna go off of what I saw from L20.2. Because realistically, the only difference I know is it's a little bit thinner up at the thigh
Then what?
than what that 20.2 was. That was the previous iteration of the flat face pad. So PX3, you get your knee rolls.
Hazardous?
That's the Catalyst. So Catalyst PX3, you've got those three traditional knee rolls on the front, even though they're flat, it's more that traditional style look, I would say. Soft boot on it. True has put a softer boot on both sets of pads, both styles, and that's essentially just to accommodate because of how stiff the core of both are. Um, so true, whether we talk 7x3, 9x3, PX3, which all fall into that Catalyst family. Stock single external brake. Not sure how it's there and the pad still doesn't bend, to be honest.
It's
Um,
impressive.
it really is. But yeah, super stiff core.
That's their softer pad then.
Yeah, that's their softer pad.
Okay, so that's comparable to the E-Flex line and the Velocity line.
Yeah. I mean, you're still comparing apples and oranges, unfortunately, but those are the lines that they're designed to fall into. Yeah,
And then the hazardous would be flat facing.
flat face, super flat boot. Um, I haven't seen any of the offshore stuff, but I believe it's no external brake, no external one internal, I believe. So that'd be below the knee. If you think back to like a Premier 2, Premier Premier 2, but with like a flat sliding surface instead of that rounded little hump.
That was a weird thing. Okay.
Yeah, it was. Not
What's their leg channel situation like?
super customizable again. So they've got their FRS strapping, so fast rotation strapping. And that allows you to customize how loose or tight that leg channel fits.
Oh, so it's like here's the stock option, but you can customize within that.
Absolutely. And
Gotcha.
that's on both pads. The strapping's pretty much the exact same.
Okay. Easy. I don't think I have any other questions for True.
I would just be careful. if you're able to get PX3 product with the carbon on the inside, it slides a lot better than their speed skin.
Gotcha.
Um, Custom option only, unfortunately. But yeah, that's
Right.
the one thing I would say about it.
And then going to Warrior, which you gracefully reminded me. I don't know what their product lines are even.
Just one, just one. So Ritual G7 will be launching end of May. I want to get my dates right. I want to say it's end of May. Single external brake. So it's like, I would say it's a pretty good hybrid of like the shin is pretty stiff and then gets a little bit softer past that external brake on it.
Just soft top, stiff bottom.
Yeah.
So that would
Uh,
be kind of like if the rebound hits you in the 5-hole area, that rebound staying should be staying a little closer to you. But if it hits you underneath the knee, it's a hard kick out to the corner.
exactly.
Smart.
Big thing with Warrior that we should talk about, they've got their slide plate and that'll exist on G6 and G7. But essentially it's a hard plastic shell that sits on the outside of that knee block.
Right.
And yeah, no friction with plastic on ice, man. Thing can just slide for days.
I wonder if that's one allowed in like junior hockey. I don't think you really see junior hockey goalies wearing Warrior, so I guess it's not really a problem.
Yeah,
But then if a puck hits it, what's the durability of it?
pretty good. Haven't seen a broken one yet.
That's good. Good for them.
They did a lot of testing before they came to market with it, so we'll give them that.
Yeah.
Uh, Slides super well. I'd love to see whether it's legal in the NHL. Unfortunately, they won't pony up the $500,000 that the NHL charges, so let your goalies wear it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them, but
My love with Warrior, even though I always forget about it, is they're built for growing kids.
absolutely.
So would this pad be any different than the ones like 3, 4 years ago where you can actually move the knee block or move the knee higher 1,
Yeah.
maybe 2 inches, just prolong the life of it?
So no more moving knee block, unfortunately.
Okay.
And that's partly due to that integrated knee block into the face of the pad.
So they got that one piece then too?
Yeah. I think pretty much everyone has gone to it in one way or another. But yeah,
Have you seen the G7s at all? Is there any customization that you can do after buying to prolong the life of why you would have bought a Warrior?
not really. Like I think they still hold their market share value with the juniors just because of it's a pretty good product, man.
Yeah.
That junior the junior product, it's a very thin profile, lasts pretty long. And then that slide plate's gonna everyone says, well, I want my kid to slide a little bit faster. There's your answer.
Yeah. It's just going to
Right
look
there.
different than everybody else's. That's
Uh,
really it. Nice segue into entry level pads, right? CCM has an entry level pad, Bauer, Bryans, and I guess Warrior does as well. Are we talking like entry level like U9 or like,
well, I mean, like, so it's an entry level pad in that like, in junior lines, it's only made in that. So like Bauer Junior, the only line is GSX.
gotcha.
Brian's, they do make like a 29-inch Optic 9 or whatever. Their main line there is Net Zero. CCM 6.5 is the only line that they make. They only make a low end pad in that junior sizing, but then like the 6.5 does continue up into senior as well to give a lower price point option.
Right.
But essentially, so like if we're talking entry level pads, the key characteristics you're going to find obviously lower end foams on the interior, which for junior age kids probably isn't going to matter a ton unless you've got superhero dad out here ripping 90-mile-an-hour clappers at him.
Which happens.
Yeah.
You know who you are if you're listening.
Yeah. Yeah. But then like it's generally a little bit of a softer pad just because those are the kids that really need that help closing butterfly. But yeah, other than that, like,
You,
Bauer,
yeah, you were talking pretty high on the Bauer ones earlier.
love it.
Sell me on it now.
Okay, so it's the only pad in that bracket that truly has an integrated knee stack.
Integrative meaning one.
One piece, yeah.
Okay.
So super easy for kids to drop down into a butterfly. Super lightweight pad. Um, Core is actually pretty strong. I've seen these things hold up a little pretty well over time.
Meaning
Um,
that they're kicking out rebounds too.
Kicking out rebounds, like pucks are coming off of it hard, but it's not like pucks are coming off hard because the pad's so stiff that's the only option for it.
Right.
So
Okay. Again, my brain is just mashed potatoes.
couple too many pucks to the dome there, Hales. It's okay. Happens to the best of us.
Again, I used a velocity glove. It wasn't catching much.
Yeah.
Tying a pretty, or actually, quickly, let's go back away from entry level pads. I think that's good info on everything. Well, is there a big difference between like the CCM, the Bauer, the Bryans, the Warrior for entry level pads?
Not really.
The Bauer now because the one piece knee stack.
Yep.
Uh,
In terms of weight, I'm going to give that argument and clear decision to both Bauer and Warrior.
really.
Everything else seems pretty bulky comparatively. Now, if you've got a kid that you think is going to stagnate in growth, probably not going to grow for 2, 3 years, maybe look into a Vaughn because it's a little bit thicker. It might last a little bit longer for you. The same thing goes out to those goalie parents that are buying gear that's 2 sizes too big because you want it to last on little Johnny for 2 years. Maybe look at a Vaughn or just buy your kid the gear that fits properly.
Yeah, it's everybody's pet peeve, unfortunately.
I say that out loud. Sorry, man. Internal thoughts here.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We'll keep it. So looking at Vaughn, CCM, Bauer, True, Warrior, Bryant, I know that there isn't really two distinct playing styles anymore, right? You used to have J.S. Shiger with the absolute blocking style, and then the Kaprizov and like a younger quick where it's all about athleticism. Everything's kind of morphed into one thing that's just a hybrid, and it's like learning to play the game as the game. Don't just use a style and hope it works,
You've got
right?
to, you see those goalie school robots all the time.
Right.
Uh,
So, which means like you need to learn and be able to do a blocking style and then also be a hybrid and athletic when time comes, right?
yeah.
Is there kind of an elite pad for a mixture, or let's say someone does fall underneath the blocking style, like and like the new Jay Shiger and then like a straight up athletic style?
Blocking style, like massive advantage. I would say Hazardous PX4 from True or Supreme Mock, Supreme Shadow.
And is that because the fly away?
Rebounds fly everywhere, but it's just like so stiff. There's no give to the pad.
Gotcha. So it's
Um,
maximizing coverage.
Now, if we want to talk about like what's the best of both worlds there, Vaughn V10, low key.
Really?
Actually, I would say like either Vaughn line, maybe SLR4 in that conversation too, but then Bauer Vapor.
Wow. I'm
So,
surprised you put Vaughn in there. I'm just surprised because they're just not very public anymore.
yeah. And maybe this is a thing too, where maybe I have a little bit more of a bias just because I see so much product on a daily basis because I've got the factory 10 blocks from me.
Yep.
But
I mean,
like,
I'm born and raised on Vaughn, so I'm not going to hate that.
yeah,
I think their graphics are still a little bit ugly, but that's easy fix.
I'm gonna shoot my rep a message after we finish recording and just tell him I just gassed up his gear for the last 3 episodes that I've done here, and maybe he'll finally send me a free set. One can hope.
Send you a sticker.
Yeah, great.
I tried to buy those Vaughn backpacks for
Oh,
like 3 years.
I tried to grab those Vaughn with the quick stickers. No dice, America only.
I don't know what those are.
They just launched them. It was celebrating, I forget what milestone he crushed, but something recent.
I ended up just getting a true backpack.
Yeah.
Anywho, all right. I think that's good for the gear talk, pad selection. Again, if we left questions out there, something that we just oversaw and didn't talk about, feel free to reach out to us on social media. I'll have Kevin's company down there as well. Sorcerer Sports London, the Padded Room on Instagram, right?
Yep.
Padded Room.
SFS padded room.
Perfect. And so if you have any questions, he's probably the best guy to reach out to. But if you need a voice of reason, I'll probably be the best guy to reach out to. Um, yeah, thanks everybody for listening again, and stay tuned for future episodes.